Good morning. So I have the pleasure to introduce my colleague Stephan Micklitz, who is based in Munich as an engineering manager, and we are going to do this presentation with Stephan over video because due to some of the train problems he couldn't reach us this morning. So let me share the slides now. Okay, Stephan, can you see the slides?
I can see the slides, yes, thank you.
Okay, so we are going to start the presentation now. So first, you want to introduce yourself, Stephan?
Yes, I can do that. Yeah, as Michel said, I'm an engineering manager here in the Munich office. I lead one of the 4 bigger teams. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes anyways. Here in the office, I studied computer science at the Technische Universität here in Munich, and joined Google in 2007, basically when this office here in Munich opened. So almost 7 years now for me at the company. And prior to that, I worked for other software companies in the Munich area.
Okay, I'm Michel Bénard. I'm responsible for university relations. We are 2 persons based in Zurich, David Harper and myself, and I take care of Germany, France, Israel, and Switzerland, and David takes care of the UK, Nordic countries, and Eastern countries. I graduated in France, both master and PhD in image processing. Then I worked for several companies, including IBM and HP in various positions. And I joined Google in early 2011, directly to the university relations team. Okay, so what we are going to show you today, Stephan will talk about Google Munich and engineering, the different engineering teams which are located in Munich. Then I'm going to talk about the research programs and some of the more students-related programs. And of course, the floor is open for questions. Before we start the presentation about Google Munich, I would like to mention that the involvement of Google with university has been very active since the foundation of the company. Obviously, the 2 founders are coming from Stanford, and they, with the whole Google team, have cultivated the tradition to engage with universities for several reasons. Of course, it's about education. It's about having excellent students trained in computer science and related fields. It's about research, doing research collaborations and moving the research in computer science. And it's also about engaging with the community in order to cultivate a strong ecosystem. So now, Stephan, if you want to start on Google Munich, and just let me know when I should switch the slides. Thank you.
I will, thank you. So yeah, as I said, Google Munich, we have an engineering center here. It opened officially end of 2007. We had a little bit of an engineering representation in Munich even prior to that due to an acquisition. By the end of 2007, we were like, I don't know, 10, 15 engineers in the office. Right now, we have around 250 Google employees in Munich. Most of them are in engineering. Our office is located, as you can see, if you know Munich, that's like very much the heart of the city center, at Marienplatz, right next to the town hall. Can you switch the slides? So yeah, as I said, around 200 engineers, and our engineers come from, like, obviously all of Germany, but also all across Europe, and we also have a couple of people from the US and other origins. So pretty international team by the sound of. We are working here on 4 main, as we call that, product areas or focus areas. And these 4 are Chrome, identity and privacy, developer infrastructure, and corporate engineering. And I'm going to talk about all of them in more details. One thing which is important to state is that at Google, the engineering organizations are responsible for a product globally. What we don't do is like distribute the work on a given product, so that, I don't know, for example, customization for Germany would be done in Germany, something like that. We don't do that. We have engineering teams who are responsible for a product and then are responsible for this product worldwide. And that's one of the core principles of how we organize our engineering organization. So what I'm going to tell you about the products we are working on in these 4 areas, that means that these are led and fully done here in Munich. So for Chrome, we are working on a number of projects in the Chrome world. One of which is V8, the JavaScript engine in Chrome, which is fully done here out of Munich. We have a team which works on the enterprise solutions for both Chrome and Chrome OS, like policy implementations and other needs enterprise have in order to make use of Chrome as a browser. And we have a big team also working on Chrome, the privacy story around Chrome and the privacy settings. Yeah, I've always listed a little bit of what are key qualifications or interesting qualifications for people to have to work on that. So obviously any background in compiler technology, security, privacy, and in general an interest in open source development, since Chrome is an open source project, is a good fit for this area. Then we have identity and privacy engineering. This is actually the team I'm managing. We have 2 goals here, basically keeping the accounts of our users safe and putting users in control, managing their settings. So everything around Google account settings and Google account security is the domain we are working in. So if you have a Google account and go to your account settings, all what you see there is primarily driven from here. There's like we do a lot of UI work, user interface development, not only on the web, we also do that on Android and iOS, and a lot of obviously infrastructure work and data processing work. So that's identity privacy engineering. Then we have a bigger team in Munich which we call developer infrastructure. These guys build tools for us software engineers. As you like, Google has a lot of software developers, and we are operating at a very large scale. So a lot of the tools we are using, we actually have to build ourselves. This is one of the groups working on that. We do a lot of infrastructure development. We do a lot of tool development for software quality, also around our software development processes. Yeah, it's also a very good fit for the Munich office due to the fact that we are one of the, as we call them, remote or satellite offices, which has, like, in terms of connectivity and usage of software tools, always a different pattern of using it than one would have in the headquarters in Mountain View. So it's important to have that perspective as well. There's a lot of data processing and infrastructure work going on in that world. So a good algorithmic background is very important for that area. Actually. And last but not least, we have a big team here in Munich, which we call corporate engineering, where we are building software, enterprise software for ourselves, our internal searches, our finance systems, HR systems, systems for product management, and so on and so forth. Also there is a lot of, if you think about internal search, for example, there's a lot of algorithmic work going on in that area. Some background in enterprise software is actually also a good thing to have if you work in that area. So that's the 4 big teams we have. Across all these 4 teams, we have basically every role you can think of in engineering represented here. We have obviously a lot of software engineers. We have what we call technical lead managers. These are people who work as software engineers, but also have management responsibility for a small group of people. We have engineering leads, technical project managers. This is kind of what could be described as the people driving the execution and project managing our bigger scope projects. We have product managers responsible for future development of a product, setting the vision for a product, user interface designers, and engineers who work on providing tests and test infrastructure. So all of the engineering roles Google has to offer are also represented in our office at this point.
Good. So I'm going to talk now about our research programs. In university relations, we are running programs which are aimed to support research, teaching and learning, and recruitment. And in all these programs, what we are looking for is to get proposals for very competitive, very ambitious and out-of-the-box projects. For us, it's generally not very interesting to have proposals for incremental improvements in a given technology, because either we are already working on it internally, or it's not in a field which are of interest for us. But we are looking for new ideas, new concepts, and projects which are in general high risk, which means where the algorithm which is studied or the method may or may not work, but the ambitious is there. So we are looking for a proposal for impactful projects which have also measurable outcomes, and certainly which can help to bring long-term relationships together between some people working at Google on a given subject and faculties or researchers from academia. So we work with a set of partner universities in Europe. Karlsruhe Institute of Technology is one of them, obviously, and we have dedicated activities in these campuses. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in details about 3 programs that we have. So this is just a summary, and then I'll go a little bit deeper into each of these programs. We have 3 awards programs that are pretty important in Europe. One is called the Faculty Research Awards, which is a global call for proposal that we open twice a year, and which is awarding to the selected faculties money for a 1-year project. And certainly it's a very good way to start a relationship with the faculty, with a 1-year project where our teams and the faculty's team can be engaged. We have then what we call the focus programs, which are only by invitation. They take more time to be put together, and these are 2 to 3 years awards for a team of researchers, and we have less of them, obviously, but these are very significant projects. And then, last but not least, we have the European Doctoral Fellowship, which is a call for proposal made by invitation to a set of selected universities in Europe. We do this once a year. I will go deeper into this. It's a program to support PhD fellows. So first, let me talk about the Faculty Research Awards. The idea is really to support research, ambitious research, with clear and measurable outcomes, but with goals which are out of the box, which are game-changing, and in areas of mutual interest. I will show you the list after of these topics which are of mutual interest. Among the critical factors for receiving such an award, contact with a Google engineer or with a researcher or a researcher's team is very important, because it helps to clarify what can be of interest for both parties, rather than send a proposal and it's not clarified whether there is mutual interest. So the contact with a potential so-called Google sponsor is very important upfront during the preparation of the proposal. The call itself is actually twice a year, with deadlines on the 15th of April or the 15th of October. We receive about 600, 800 proposals worldwide, and we finance 12 to 15% of them, which means that we try to be in the same hit rate as EU framework programs or NSF programs in the US. And the goal here is really to be competitive enough, but also encouraging, so that there is a decent hit rate. The budget is typically of the order of 50,000 to 100,000 euros, or it's mentioned in dollars here. I will leave the slides with you, and there is a link here where you can find more details about the Faculty Research Awards. And of course, I'm fully available if you want to talk about the potential proposal that you would like to do. So here is the list of the topics, which, by the way, is not only for the Faculty Research Awards, but which are generally topics of interest for Google. So you can see here the traditional suspects, such as machine learning, machine perception, social security, social networks, speech, etc. But in italic, you can see that we have some new topics which came this year, such as online education at scale, or physical interactions with devices, or computational neuroscience. We do an update of this list at least once a year, and we check at the corporate level in which topics we would like to receive proposals. So this list is also on the website. In Germany, if you look at recent Faculty Research Awards, and also more specific, you can see that we receive about, let's say, 15 to 30 proposals each round. And 3 to 4 get funded, sometimes 5. So in general, we are above the 15%. We are more at the 20%, so we have a healthy set of proposals each round, and also many awards. At KIT, I mentioned here some of the faculties and professors who received recently awards in various areas. Yes. Right. Yes, we do, because we have an internal review team, and obviously their debates are private. What we tend to do, however, is when there is an obvious reason why the proposal was not accepted, such as the subject is not of interest for us, or we try to be helpful for the next time. But no feedback? No, in general, no feedback. That's why it's important to have a Google contact or sponsor upfront before sending a proposal, because then you can clarify with this Googler whether the topic is of interest for us, if what you're looking at is something that we can together work on later, etc. It's good to do this clarification up front. And in the proposal, you mentioned that the name of your Google sponsors, and this is one of the major qualifying criteria. So let me switch now to the focused awards and programs. The focused awards are aimed to support a large project from a team with certainly a team having an excellent track record, looking at a game-changing proposition, something which is really of deep research, and where there is mutual interest. During the entire duration of the project, there will be one or several Google sponsors who are going to get updates and interact with the faculties. Usually, it takes 6 to 12 months to mount such a partnership or an award. There is no seasonality. I mentioned also a site where you can find some examples. I will show you one or two after that. Things to note: the budget is typically $500,000 per year over 2 to 3 years, so it's a large amount of money. It's in general, most of the cases, we are talking about unrestricted gifts, like the Faculty Research Awards, which means we are not interested by the IP. There are a couple of exceptions when it gets closer to our business. And as I mentioned before, there is no particular deadline, which means that this can be presented when we are ready on both sides. One example, some recent focused awards in Germany and at KIT. So there were many focused awards in 2010 and 2011 at Max Planck Institute, at KIT, at TU Munich, at Acatech as well in Berlin. In 2012, Uni Freiburg with Hannah Bast and Peter Sanders and Dorothea Wagner got one. I'm going to talk about this one. And the topics in Germany for focused awards have been geomaps, natural language processing, distributed computing, and information retrieval. More recently, we did a focus program, which was a spread focused award, if you want, in natural language processing, and we got 2 awardees last year at Saarland University. Here is an example from this institute. Professor Dorothea Wagner and Peter Sanders actually applied for a focused award in 2012. The goal of this research was the following. It was actually to look at algorithms for route planning in Google Maps or in any similar tool. And here we are looking for getting to one place to another using various means of transportations: car, by foot, bike, or public transportation. And so there are algorithms which can compute the shortest distance, and that was the subject of this project. The Google sponsor was the Geo team in Zurich. We have a large team in Zurich working on maps, on Street View, on this Google products, and they have been interacting a lot with these 2 faculties and their team. There was also a speech which was made by the faculties at the 10 years anniversary of Google Zurich back in May. So this is one example. A more recent example is a focused award that we just did in 3D for 3 PIs, one from Stanford, one from Tel Aviv University, and one from INRIA. And here the goal is to make the 3D data accessible and useful. Today, 3D objects are not really easy to manipulate, to represent, to index, to search. And the goal of this particular research is to make them better citizens on the web, which means having easier representations, easier acquisitions and display, and being able to actually search them or use them like we use today images or text or audio files or other or graphics. So the 3D team is based in Mountain View, and the work is just starting now. Okay, now let me switch to the European Doctoral Fellowship Program. This is a very important program for us because it's aimed to really build and improve relationship with some of the top research universities in computer science and fund the best PhDs, their best PhD students. So the fellowship is really aimed to support the best students, supervised by some of the best academics in areas of research which have highest impact and also which are ambitious. And the reviewing process has been designed in order to look at these three components: the student, the supervising team, and the research which is proposed. It's very important also for the student to have the right background to apply for a Google internship during the course of the PhD or during the course of this fellowship. Here we can talk more about this during the Q&A session, but for example, programming skills or major skills for internships are required. So, the eligibility criteria for the European Doctoral Fellowship Program: the student must be a PhD student already at any stage of the PhD, and it must attend a PhD position at the university. We invite universities and ask them to submit two students. So there is an internal process, selection process made by the university to actually select these two students, and the student cannot be employed by Google at this when applying. So the award is actually 3 years of salaries plus expenses, and in Germany this is $70,000 per year. So this is a large award, and there is a Google Research Mentor, which is going to interact with the PhD student during the course of the fellowship. And as I mentioned before, there is the opportunity to apply for a paid internship at Google. So in Europe, we invite about 35-40 universities once a year. We ask them to submit 1 or 2 applications. We review then about 60 applications, and we select 12 to 15 of them. So the hit rate is higher than for the other programs, but there is already the selection made at the university level. Here I've put a few links for the call or for the previous recipients. In Germany, we have a good track record, which accelerated in the past few years. We went from two PhD fellowships in 2011 or 2010 to 3 and even 4 this year. We have regular submission and fellowships from Saarland, from Max Planck Institute, from TU München, and we would of course welcome most of the applications from KIT. That would be really great. So the invitation actually was sent 1 or 2 weeks ago to the KIT administration and professors. I will now go very quickly over a few other programs that we have. We have a visiting faculty program for visiting positions in research and engineering. And certainly, if some of you are interested, we can talk more about this. We do faculty summits and especially focus summits. Up to 2012, we would do a European faculty summit with about 100 participants from academia in Europe. They would be invited in one Google center, so the last one was in London in 2012, and spend 2 or 3 days interacting with us, attending presentations, etc. Now we have switched a little bit and we do focus summits, which means that in a given field of interest, we actually invite 40 to 50 faculties and more or less half the number of Googlers working in the field, and they meet during about 2 days. So we did one in natural language processing, end of in spring. We did one on MOOCs. We did some recently on compilers, on speech, and we are planning more ones going forward. Then, of course, we do tech talks or workshops, and we invite also faculties to visit us and give tech talks. And this is usually an ongoing activity. And we sponsor research conferences, and I mentioned some of them, such as Interspeech or Computer Vision Conference. Okay, so I'm going to go quickly over student and outreach programs. As I mentioned, we like to do tech talks, to organize tech talks on campus, and this is something which can be done with, especially with offices which are nearby, Munich or Zurich or London, etc., where the Googler can come to the campus, make a talk about a given subject, and then interact with the faculties and the students. So we do this on purely engineering topics, but it can go to other topics such as, you know, innovation or management at Google or user experience, and we certainly are ready to do this. I know we did a few here already, and so we are open for more. I would like to mention the Google Anita Borg Scholarship. We have an ambitious goal to try to meet Anita Borg's vision, which was to have parity between men and women in computer science related jobs by 2020. We are far from being there, unfortunately. What we are trying to do is to encourage women to go into this field for profession, and for this we have this program where the students can apply and receive a scholarship to help them during their studies. So we do this once a year for students pursuing a bachelor, a master, or PhD, and studying fields related to computer science, engineering, informatics. And the criteria is really the performance and the passion for the field, and the award is 7,000 euros to be used for to support part of the tuition or expenses. There is a community we are trying to build with this. We organize an event in our offices once a year, where we actually show them how Google works with their tech talks, etc. And certainly we try to interact with them later. Stephan?
Yes.
Do you want to say, sorry, do you want to say a few words about the internship at Google?
Yes, I'm happy to. So usually our internships, so we regularly, like every year, have interns on our team. Minimum is 3 months, longer is appreciated, but I realize that it's hard, especially with the German university schedules, to do that. These internships, or the projects interns work on, are projects we put together for this period of time, but they are part of our usual development process, right? It's like a new feature or a new sub-project or something we would build anyways in our engineering team. It's not like in any way different from a full-time position, except that it's an intern working on it. So far we have had very, very good success with these, both with the interns themselves, and then also it's a very good process to get to know each other. The intern knows what the company is like. We know the work of the intern. So our conversion rate from intern to full-time is very, very high. So it's a very, very good way to get to know Google engineering, and we encourage students to apply and take the time. I know like internships haven't been very common in Germany. At least when I studied, it was not very common to do that, and I think that is a mistake. So we would like to see more applications, especially from German universities.
Okay, and here there is a link, google.com/jobs/students. The link for the information for the internships which are going to happen next summer, the summer internship 2015. The link was open about a couple of weeks ago, and now is the right time to apply. So if you have students which would like to apply, it's the seasonality is really about now, applying for next summer. And certainly we are available if there are questions about this. So we also have a scholarship program with for students with disability. We have a very large accessibility program inside Google, where we study how people which have problems with seeing or problems hearing, or who need to use haptics with the computer, how they can interact with the computer. And we have many researchers working on this. We also have a MOOC, which is called Introduction to Web Accessibility, which is designed to help people with visual problems to actually visualize web pages and interact with them. And we have this program to support students with disabilities, and we grant them also some awards for studies that they propose. Here there is also the link which is mentioned. So last but not least, full-time positions. Stephan, you want to say a few words about this?
Sure. So we are always looking for engineers for our office, and basically every team I talked about is hiring new people continuously. There's no seasonality here. Recruiting happens all year round. We have a very different hiring process from what people are used to usually applying in the more traditional German company, for example. We do very, very deep technical interviews, also not so much with managers like me, but really with engineering peers. So it's advisable to actually be prepared for that kind of interview and hiring process beforehand. And I mean, as I said about the office has been growing, as you can see, very fast in the last couple of years, from 10 to 200 engineering-wise in only a few years. And we are continuing to grow. We are actually going to move into a new office building in Munich, close to Munich Central Station, over the course of next year. Because we have basically outgrown all the space we have in this building. The opportunities are plenty. So we are looking forward to welcoming new engineers here.
Good. So this concludes our presentation. And here there are a few links for some of the programs we have been showing, and as well as our email address. Well, thank you, Stephan. Thank you very much.